Hey everybody, Mike Iaconelli here. Welcome to a brand new episode of In the Shop. And as you notice, I've got shorts on, a t-shirt, and it's hot. It's summertime. It's been sweltering here. Temperatures in the 90s up to 100 degrees and water temperature in the 80s and 90s. This is hot summertime bass fishing. So for today's In the Shop, I'm going to give you my top 6 summertime bass baits. It's hard to break it down to just 6, but I'm going to do it by categories of 2. And I'm going to give you 2 for deep water, 2 for thick cover and shallow water, and 2 for current. And really, when you think about it, deep, thick, and current. Deep water, thick cover, and current are the 3 primary summertime patterns. So these are the baits to match up with those 3 different patterns, okay? So heat of the summer, a lot of fish go deep. And deep is a relative term to wherever you're fishing, but basically some of the deepest water in that lake or pond or stream that you're fishing, bass are going to move there because they're going to follow their food source. It's cooler water, there's oxygen down there. And my 2 favorite baits for fishing deep are a deep diving crankbait and a drop shot. 2 of my favorite deep water baits. You know, a deep diving crankbait, the great thing about that bait is you can cover so much water, and the bill of that bait will help it dive to those deep depths. So I really love the Rapala DT series. DT stands for dives 2. So I can really pick the crankbait to that depth of water that I'm fishing. If I'm fishing in 10 foot, I use a DT 10. If the deep water is 14 foot, I use a DT 14. If it's 20 feet, I'll use a DT 20. And that long bill will help that crankbait get to that deep water, and you could cover tons of water with it and create a reaction strike. So number 1 for deep water is a deep diving crankbait. The second one is gotta be a drop shot. And I love a drop shot for fishing deep because it can get down really quick. And you know a drop shot is a hook tied in line with a length of leader below it to a weight. And when we fish it, it sinks quick to those deep depths. It gets right to the bottom, but it lets that bait sit horizontally above the bottom. Little drop shot bait. I really love the Berkley Power Bait Max Scent stuff. This is the flatworm. They have one called the hit worm. They have a flat nose minnow. They have a lot of shapes. But that drop shot lets me get the bait deep, keep it in place, shake my rod, and that bait comes alive. So for deep water, when you need a little more finesse, a drop shot is perfect. Smallmouth lakes, spotted bass lakes, you gotta have that in your deep water arsenal. So 1 and 2, crankbait and drop shot for deep water. The next summertime scenario is thick cover. And listen to me, even in the heat of the summer, I don't care if it's 110 degrees, bass will remain shallow if there's thick cover. That cover could be grass, lily pads, hydrilla, milfoil. It could be docks. It could be laydowns. It could be brush piles. Anything that's thick in shallow water, fish are going to stay there in the heat of the summer. And the reasons are the same. Their food's there, the water's cooler, it's got a lot of oxygen under those grass mats, okay? My 2 favorite baits for fishing shallow, thick cover are a punch bait or a frog. Getting in and under the thick cover or working over it. Let's start with the frog. I don't think anything beats the ability to draw fish out of that thick cover like a frog. It does a lot of pushing, it does a lot of walking, it makes a commotion, and they can't get a great look at it. When they see something moving over that thick cover, they want to come up and kill it. This is one of my favorites. This is a frog by Mullix. It's a walking style frog. It's called a sneaky frog. They have it in 2 sizes, but I love this frog for fishing over thick cover, drawing the fish up and out of that thick cover. So number 1 for my thick scenario in the summer is a frog, but number 2 is getting a bait in that thick cover and down, penetrating the thick cover and getting to the bottom. And for that, nothing beats a punch rig, okay? But let me tell you, I'm either going to fish a traditional punch rig or a Tokyo punch rig. They're both going to do the same thing. Sometimes the Tokyo rig's better, sometimes a regular punch is better. But the great thing about a punch weight, I want you to look at this. It's a big heavy weight, anywhere from a ½ ounce all the way up to 2 ounces of a tungsten weight. This is a VMC weight, using a little weight stop or a bobber stop to keep that weight near the nose of the bait. Using a big flipping style hook, like a 4 or 5/0 VMC heavy duty flipping hook. And then whatever your favorite flipping bait is. Berkley makes a great one. This is a little creature style, beaver style bait. And when that bait, punch style or Tokyo, falls through the mat, it gets under it. And those big bass in the summer are hiding under the thickest cover you can find, okay? So number 2 is a punch style bait, okay? So frog or a punch style bait for that thick cover scenario in the summer. All right, here we go. The last summertime pattern, and this is 5 and 6. This is fishing current in the summertime. And when I mean current, it could be a stream, a river, it could be an inlet, it could be when the dam is pulling water, it could be on a windy day where the wind is creating current. But summertime bass gravitate toward current because they follow bait, the water's cooler, and that current creates a lot of oxygen in that hot, stagnant water. And my 2 favorites for fishing current are a small, compact jig and a soft plastic stick bait. 2 of my favorites. You know, the jig is hard to beat in current because you could do so many things with it. I could flip it, pitch it, drag it on the bottom. I could swim it in current. It's such a versatile lure. And I like this smaller, more compact style. This is a Missile Jigs mini flip. I like the ½ ounce, natural colors. I usually will fish a 3-inch Berkley chigger crawl on the back, and I love to target areas in that current where there's a break or a seam in the current. That could be created by a piece of cover, piling, something that makes the current hit it and break off. That's where I'm going to throw that ½ ounce jig. And it's great for getting around cover as well. And my second choice for fishing current, a little bit more of a finesse bait, is a stick bait. And a stick bait's great because you could rig it so many different ways. I could rig it Texas, but I really, really love to rig it wacky style. This is a 4-inch Berkley Power Bait General. It's just in green pumpkin. I got it on a little VMC wacky hook. The great thing about this soft stick bait is that when there's flow, when there's current, I can cast this weightless or with a little nail weight in the tail, cast it up current, and this bait will drift back real naturally in the current. That weightless or lightly weighted wacky rig looks like something dying in the current. Looks like an injured bait fish, an injured minnow, an injured crawfish. Fishing current can't resist it because it's so natural. And it flows back downstream in a natural method. So soft stick bait, rigged Texas, or especially rigged wacky and weightless, hard to beat in current. So 5 and 6 for current fishing, a jig, and a wacky rig. Listen, just because it's hot doesn't mean the fish aren't going to bite. Remember those 3 patterns: deeper, thicker current. Try one of those 6 baits, and you're going to be able to catch some big summertime bass. I hope you enjoyed this edition of Ike's in the Shop. If you like what you're watching, if you like what you're seeing right here, hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, do me a favor, tell your fishing friend to subscribe to Mike Iaconelli Fishing on YouTube. We got more great content coming at you every week. See you later. Good luck and good fishing.